Good evening, everybody, and welcome to FPL The Onion. I can't remember which episode this is. I think it might be episode 6, but I'm joined by my cousin, in fact, Mr. Thomas Martin. Thomas, would you
Hello,
like to introduce
everybody.
yourself?
Yes, jumped the
Yes,
gun a bit there.
yes, I
Bit
would.
keen.
So we're going to
Yeah,
be,
good to be on.
yeah, thanks for coming, buddy. It's going to be quite difficult because Tom actually lives in a whole other continent, and so we're going to be, and my internet is horrendous tonight because my wife is currently FaceTiming with her sister. So we're going to be struggling with delays and camera delays and everything else. But hopefully you can hear us and see us even if we're delayed. Apologies for the terrible graphics. We love an onion around here. And Tom was just as disgusted as everybody else to find out what the actual name meant, but we won't go into that. But yeah, Tom, explain to us why you wanted to come on and talk to us.
Yeah, so I've got a few chips burning a hole in my pocket at the moment. Obviously, still have my wildcard chip, and still got both my free hits and bench boost as well. So
Wow.
I'm just eyeing up these double game weeks and looking to try and boost my rank. I've just broken into the top 300,000, which is appalling for me at this stage of the season. And yeah, it doesn't look like I'm going to be winning any of my work leagues for a change. So I just need to get a bit of a rank boost. And
yeah, because you and I have had some pretty big battles over the years, haven't we? What was the name of that league that you set up for kind of work people, and then I got a cheeky invite to?
I think it's been called many things, but I think it's called In Your Mourinho at the moment.
In your Mourinho. But yeah, we've had some mega battles over the years.
We've had some ding dongs
gone down to the wire, but it seems to be at the moment it's kind of I have a good season, you have a bad season, you have a good season, I have a bad season. So yeah, it's that way around at the moment. But yeah, so you've still got like pretty much all your chips. Did you triple captain Salah last game week?
Yeah, a triple captain Salah. I was pretty happy with that decision. I didn't captain Trent like some losers.
I know that was a massive swing.
That was a big swing. That was a huge swing.
But you've still got 2 free hits. That's massive.
Yeah.
When are you currently thinking of playing them? Whether you play the wild card or not? I guess it makes a big difference depending on whether you play the wild card this week or not.
Yeah. So the thing with playing it in 30 is it's a compromised team anyway. But when you're playing a free hit in 30, because all of the good guys are playing each other, so they're going to kind of cancel each other out. So I just think the free hit in the potential doubles that are coming up, and there's obviously Leicester have got 3 games to catch up with Vardy back and Maddison firing from the Burnley game. They're looking promising, so I'd like to get in on some of that action. And also, like, none of the Chelsea attackers or midfielders are really inspiring me at the moment. So I want to kind of wait to see who kind of throws their hat in the ring with that as well, because obviously the defence are good. And then I think City will still have their say in the league, although I have sort of one golden rule is to like not have Mahrez and Sterling in my team because I've just been burnt so many times. Yeah, but I don't mind a bit of KDB or some Foden, but I just don't, as a rule, I just don't go near those 2 clowns because they're just trolls.
No, and I was saying to people, I may even have said on here last week that I really wanted Sterling just because I felt like he could easily get a hat trick in that game, but in the end he did nothing. Mahrez, I think he was benched and he came on, did nothing. But you know, people's free hits in 27 generally, the people expected to do well did not do well. So it was nice. It was good. I guess it was good for you to avoid playing it then. You didn't have. How many Liverpool players have you got?
I've got Salah and Trent.
Okay, and have you got any Arsenal?
I've only got Martinelli and I've got Rambo as well in goal.
In fact, we can see this now. So this is your current team.
That's the lay of the land.
And this is the lay of the land. Yeah, this is obviously ahead of Game Week 28. So you were like me. Did you captain Weghorst last week?
Horrible decision. I was on Kane up until the last minute, and then I chose to take some expert advice, and look how well that worked out for me. Everybody was like, big Weggy's going to do the business, and it just feels dirty putting two Burnley players in your team anyway. You know you shouldn't do it.
Yeah, and it's
Like
funny, isn't it? I know.
that's another lesson, isn't it? Like you actually don't put players in your team unless it's a free hit that you actually don't want to keep. Like that's another pretty much like golden rule.
Yeah, and I also think that I was thinking about it as Weghorst was blanking in the second game, that if you're gonna have a Burnley player in your team, or even two or three or whatever, you don't need to kind of treble down on that or quadruple down on it by captaining them. You could just have them in
Exactly.
you could just have them in your team and think, great, if he does well, brilliant. But you don't need to, because I said this to Shlee last week, that Weghorst obviously got the goal against Brighton. I had him. I was delighted with that goal. It was brilliant, but he's still only scored one goal in the Prem, and he could just be a bit of a flash in the pan. So I think one of the reasons why I'm having such a good season is because I've just tried to keep to have players and to play players who are super, super trusted and consistent in this game. And if you just keep getting these randoms in, it's so much more likely they're going to disappoint you. I mean, obviously I wish I'd captain Son now, and you wish you'd captain Kane, but Weghorst double just looked nice, didn't it, before the
It did.
game week?
It did, but I mean, I watched a few programs around it, and they kind of said old Wiggy kind of outperformed his stats by actually getting the goal. I mean, I know he's come with a reputation from the Bundesliga, but you know, a Burnley striker scoring a goal and setting one up, we shouldn't really get like massively excited and go full retard on them. Like, you know, it's another good lesson, isn't it?
No, indeed. So another lesson learned. So this is the current team. It doesn't look in terrible shape. In fact, it looks in good shape for this week. But you're thinking about potentially playing the wild card. You haven't hit the button yet.
Haven't activated it yet. I wanted to get the advice of the experts at Onion before I went and did that. You know.
This is, I mean, Shlee and I have just been finding, even just trying to carve out the time to actually have a chat through it, especially at a certain time of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, ahead of a kind of Friday or Saturday deadline. Just even though, you know, and I know Shlee's a much, much better fantasy player than I am, and you've had some unbelievable seasons as well. But even just talking to other people who are thinking about things, they might be thinking about things slightly differently, and it does kind of seem to help you sort your head out on this stuff. So hopefully even just having this conversation helps you with your decision making.
Cool.
So, should we bring up the draft, or do you want to talk through what you've got or why you're thinking of playing it now?
Yeah, well, you know, I think it's important to admit now that I'm an Aston Villa fan, and we've got a double coming up, and it's I think it's quite a spicy one, actually. I mean, I know Southampton have been a lot better, a lot more organised, and defending a lot better. I mean, their stats are pretty good, but also Leeds are in a bit of disarray. But I know Bielsa's gone now, and I don't know what the new manager's kind of philosophy is. Really, I haven't really done any research, but I'm pretty sure he can't stop the big rats jumping out of the boat just yet. You know, I really don't think it was actually about Bielsa's philosophy. I think it was more about the kind of personnel they had available, you know, with like the whole spine of the team missing in Cooper and Phillips and Bamford, you basically lost your entire team, and Phillips was so important to them defensively. So yeah. I just think like Coutinho, I'm not really all that inspired by any of the Villa strikers, but I'd really like Coutinho in there. Which I suppose I could do. I mean, like I could move Bowen out for Coutinho and like not play the wild card, but I think there's a lot of other opportunities with some of the other guys as well.
Well, the other thing is, I mean, the fact that you've got 2 free hits, because again, there will be still a lot of people with 2 free hits, but I think there'll be more people who've only got 1 left. And so, talk me through it. If you play the wild card this week, you won't free hit in 30 because you won't need to, presumably, because you'll build for that as well. You're talking about Leicester players maybe as well. So then would you be looking to free hit in 33 and 36? And then you're thinking, well, when would you bench boost? Because you can't obviously bench boost and free hit in the same week.
Yeah, so if a wild card this week, I'm pretty much going to bench boost next week, I think. Okay. As it's going to be my last real opportunity to kind of set a team up with a double game week. But also, I mean, I could spot some fixtures down the line where I feel like I want a free hit, and I could still bench boost in 36 if my team's looking looking good. I mean, we don't really know what those game weeks look like yet anyway. Like all the fixtures have got to be confirmed and stuff. So it's just nice having those Easter eggs in your pocket for, it gives you some flexibility and a few more options.
It is nice, but I'm kind of thinking about how I guess because I've spent so long planning with obviously I used my wildcard back in game week 22, 23, and I don't regret playing it, but I do look at this opportunity now, and you see kind of Andy's video about his wildcard, and Tom's catching mosquitos.
I'm twatting mosquito, sorry.
And yeah, I don't know if I had as many chips as you have. I don't know when I'd be planning on playing them, but I guess in any week you can free hit, and I mean obviously this week we saw it, or in 27 we saw it didn't go very well, but in any week you can do it. I mean I guess it's better to have free hits than to not have them. So yeah, I think I'm going to bring up your planned wildcard team. Yeah, talk us through this. Let's start with the keepers. We'll try and go through it in order.
Okay, so obviously Sar's got a good double coming up. Wolves' numbers have regressed a bit. They were looking a lot sexier in defence. If we were talking through sort of 4 or 5 weeks ago, I'd definitely been more kind of bullish about Wolves. But I still think he's a good option, and he's kind of at a good price point. Like you look at Mendy and you look at some of the other keepers, it's like another extra 0.8, which you can kind of just be pumping into the rest of your team. Pickford's one that I saw on Let's Talk FPL, which is a bit of a controversial one. But I was really impressed with them against Man City, and I think that Frank can start setting them up a bit more defensively and stop leaking goals. And yeah, Pickford's going to get save points, but they've also got 2 good fixtures at home coming up as well. So that's why he's in there.
Is that in 29 Everton's double?
Yeah.
Okay, so that helps with the bench boost then massively.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then Trent, he kind of speaks for himself, although I did have a draft where I'd taken him out and put Robertson in.
Yeah.
Because again, he's not been like Trent for the last sort of 4 or 5 weeks. He hasn't. I know they've been getting clean sheets, but the other guys have been getting assists and goals. So you get a bit greedy and think, oh, maybe I should move to Matip or Van Dijk or Robertson, but in reality, you really want Trent. So
yeah, and that's one of the other things that I've kind of taken from this season is that form and even whether a player's dropped or not dropped can turn around so quickly. You think I dropped Ollie Watkins for Jimenez, and I thought, oh, I'm really smart because Watkins got benched. I predicted it, blah blah blah, and then Jimenez got an assist. But since then, Watkins has come back into the team and scored, and Jimenez has been dropped. So if there's any constant, it's change. And so obviously Robbo's been doing really really well. Especially that was one of the things that was so good. Or went so well on my wildcard as I brought Robertson in as well as Trent, and Robertson's he's been quite a big differential for me. But yeah. Trent is an unbelievable player, and at any time he could get a massive haul. And if you've been really clever and got rid of him, and he gets that haul, it's just going to drop you massively, isn't it?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I'm pretty. This will be if I actually click and go for this team, it'll be the first time I haven't had Cancelo in my team the whole season as well, because I've just been fanboying really hard on him. I've loved having him. I know it hasn't had loads of double-digit hauls, but he just ticks over with like the 6s and 7s and 8s.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's super annoying about the likes of Trent and Cancelo and Salah and stuff is that their ownership is so high that even if you own them, and I think sites like Live FPL etc. have kind of made effective ownership a thing that everybody knows about now, but Trent will have 102% ownership, and I don't actually want him to score any points at all because I haven't captained him, and I'm not going to captain him if Salah's in the team. So it's super annoying owning it, and it's boring owning players like Trent and Cancelo because you don't actually want them to get any points if their ownership's over 100%.
Yeah, I know.
So it does make you, especially when you're wildcarding, want to then go against that and think, right, well, I'll get some exciting picks in that will do really well. And sometimes it works out for people like Andy, Let's Talk FPL, dropped Bowen on his wildcard a couple of game weeks ago. Bowen hasn't done anything since then. There'll be a lot of people who wildcarded in 26 who got rid of Bowen because of his fixtures. But I think going out Cancelo, maybe. I'm even thinking of taking Cancelo out this week, although I'm pretty scared about it. But don't think you can go without both Trent and Cancelo because it's very, very pretty hipster, wouldn't it?
Playing Russian roulette.
Yeah, indeed.
Sorry, topical joke. Topical joke there.
No, it's no laughing matter, Thomas.
No laughing matter.
So, okay, so you've got Trent, Tierney. Wait, is Arsenal's doubles this week?
Arsenal's doubles next week.
It's 28 though, isn't it?
No, Arsenal's doubles 29.
Is it? Okay. So you're setting that up for next week. Okay.
So I'm getting them set up, and also obviously Arsenal have a fixture in 30 as well. So I'm just looking at that.
Yeah.
And also Tierney's kind of he's definitely my choice in that Arsenal defence. Just as long as they can actually like keep him standing upright and fit. But he's definitely the best going forward. I don't really like the rest of them, to be honest.
No, fair enough. And that defence, I mean, again, Arteta, at the start of the season, everybody was talking about Arteta getting sacked, and now it looks like they're in the box seat for the top four. And again, you're getting Arsenal players who are all at pretty good prices. So you've got three of them. I really like Lacazette as well, and they're playing like a top four side. So they're really, really good value, aren't they, this season?
Yeah, I don't know. I watched their last game, and I wasn't all that kind of convinced because they took a long bloody time to get to get over the line. I mean, they had to sub Pepe on to kind of make something happen. Yeah. But hey, they got it done, which they used to never kind of win those kind of games. So fair play to them.
Yeah, and I love the two Chelsea defenders, and I think they're my potential moves this week is to take out the two Man City defenders that I've got for two Chelsea defenders. I might just do one of them, and then I'd have to somehow choose between James and Rudiger. But I think on Wildcard, I'd definitely have two Chelsea defenders, and they're the two I'd have.
Let me get your team up so I can have a little look at what you're playing out here with. I'll have a little side look. The viewers won't be able to see it, obviously, but I will be able to.
Yeah, we haven't loaded that one up.
That's fine. Okay, so I think is Rudiger. I don't think James is playing tonight, but Rudiger's in the team. James is on the bench.
This is tonight in the cup, is it? James.
In the cup. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So that's looking promising.
Yeah.
Okay, who have you got? You've got De Gea, Cancelo, Sace, Laporte, Bowen, Gallagher, Fernandes, Son, Brozier, Weghorst, and Jimenez. Quite template, cuz. Foster, Ramsey, Rob. Apart from the Liverpool defensive double up, well, I presume you're going to be bringing Salah in as well.
Yeah, I'm looking at bringing Salah in. So I'm looking at this, and this is the thing, right? I was thinking about this the other day that my team, obviously, my wild card went really, really well. It kind of boosted me back up from 10k back into kind of the top, like 1k, 2k area. But now, because I haven't got the wild card, I'm taking kind of quite a lot of hits each week to try and keep up with the rest of the pack, or trying and avoid having the biggest issues with the team versus everyone else. And so, I'm basically now spending the points that I've earned on that wild card. So it is pretty frustrating, but I just think I had previously looked at 28 as when I would wild card. But I got a bit excited in 22 or 23. I think with like trying to get Villa for what we thought they were going to have double game weeks. In the end, I don't think they had them, and obviously just getting on 3 City and also effectively kind of swapping or getting Salah out and getting the double up in defence, which worked really well. But now, in order to get to Chelsea, in order to set up for 30, if I don't want a free hit at 30, I'm just spending kind of looking at potentially -4s, -8s for the next few weeks. So I am just spending all those points. So the idea of wildcarding now, I'm pretty jealous of the fact that you can wildcard now. So yeah. So two Chelsea defenders. Livramento, just I guess he's now back in the side again.
The Phoenix from the Flames.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, are you
sitting third position on my bench last game week, which was flipping annoying, but anyway, such is life.
Are you concerned about the fact that he might still not be first choice? Because Walker Peters has been playing really well, and I think who's the other? Is it Teller or something like that?
I thought it was Meunier or something. It begins with an M. I thought there was kind of playing in front of him, but he's just looked really good. It just kind of he looks like he's back to his form at the beginning of the season. So I think he'd be hard to drop because he definitely had a dip in form and then obviously the injury, but he looks back and kind of in prime form.
And are you at kind of max budget with this? Have you got any funds to play with?
I've got enough money to drop Coutinho and get Son in the next week. So I've got sort of 3 or 4 million in the bank. I suppose that was worth stating.
So Villa's doubles this week, and then you'd go to Son for their double in 29.
Yeah, I mean,
that's nice.
I'm like very loath to get rid of Kane because I'm a bit of a fanboy of Kane's, and when he's played well, he's just, I mean, against Leeds, he just looked fantastic. Yeah. All his passing and his finish when he got played in by Højbjerg on the volley was just absolutely amazing. So,
but this is the thing. Yeah. This is the thing, right? I mean, Son and Kane, they've got a really good fixture this week in Everton. I don't think Lampard's going to pull up trees with Everton. I think that if it wasn't for, Norwich, I think there are more teams than Everton that more worse teams than Everton. So I think they'll be okay, but I think they'll basically limp over the line. But the idea of taking Kane out before Everton and then they've got that double, is there not a way to? It's not a way to kind of sort that team so that you keep Kane. I guess it means not having Lacazette for their double against Leicester and Liverpool. But I don't know. I feel like Lacazette's fixtures are definitely better, aren't they? Watford, Leicester, Liverpool. But I mean, the Liverpool game, I don't see Lacazette getting anything in that. But I feel like the Spurs fixtures might be slightly better. The issue, I guess, is the double is both away games, whereas Arsenal's are at home.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you that I am pretty loath to get rid of Kane because I do like him.
It's a big difference in value though.
And I think possibly that West Ham fixture might happen in 30. I think there's some FA Cup game that's going to decide whether that game actually happens. So then if you can go into that game having Spurs players playing as well, that'd be great.
I think it's because West Ham are playing Southampton. Aren't they playing in the Cup tonight? Yeah,
I think you're right. They are tonight, aren't they?
So I think whichever team loses would then have a fixture in 30. I think that's the...
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So I'm basically wanting Southampton to win that, aren't I?
Well, no, because if Southampton win, then from your draft, Breuer and Livramento then won't play in 30. And at the moment in your draft, you don't have any Spurs players.
Oh, well, I was going to sort that out next. Okay, so Chelsea are 3-2 up.
Okay. Which means
Sol Niguez, Timo Werner has set 2 up and scored 1.
So they're 3-2 up. That means it's pretty close against Luton, but that means that the Norwich game is on for the double is on for 28, and that is such a ridiculous double.
That's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. I just wish I could actually trust. Funnily enough, the guy who does play instead of Livramento, Romain Perraud, has actually scored tonight.
That's it, Perraud.
Yeah.
Perraud, yeah. So I think Livramento, and this is the thing about a wildcard team now, is that because you're bench boosting, you shouldn't take any risks with it.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if you've got a different way to go other than Livramento, I mean, the interesting thing, because 8 Nouri is super cheap as well. I think he's around 4.3 or 4.4.
Yeah.
Is he 4.4? He might be 4.5 now, but
I think he's 4.4 now.
I mean, the thing is, I'm now talking about 8 Nouri. He's just as much of a risk as Livramento, isn't he? Because there's other people. There's Johnny's back, and Marcal, I don't think he's injured. So there's and I think he was benched for the last game. So there's just as many risks. That's why those players are cheap, right? I mean, it's difficult to find players around that price.
I suppose with Semedo out there, that's one of their first team defenders out, isn't it?
Yeah, true. And Johnny played. I think Johnny came on for him at right back, didn't he? So Johnny could play right back, and then I almost feel like 8 Nouri might be a better shout. But that's if you have to have that price point in this team, maybe that's the risk that you take.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Liv has played the last 2 90 minutes, but doesn't really mean anything.
No, exactly. Those sorts of things are super annoying. I mean, on my wildcard, I brought in Lowton for Burnley because I knew they had doubles coming up, and he was just literally dropped the next game and never played again. That was pretty devastating. But and I can't remember who else. I think Martinelli, obviously, and he got because I was going to bench boost, I think in 26, which obviously I'm glad I didn't now with Salah triple captain. But it is super annoying on these calls because you think, oh, I'll get them in, and it feels like you've got all the choice in the world because you have your own wildcard, but you can take a few risks thinking because you're on wildcard, and then some of them don't come off. So Livramento, I think, is the risk, but the other one is 8 Nouri, and he's also just as much of a risk, isn't he? So
I might just stick with old Saka the Wecker.
With old Saka the Wacker.
Lacazette the Wecker, whatever, Livramento. Stick with him. He's another passenger I think I've had the whole season as well, to be honest.
Livramento, yeah. Did you have him super early on?
I think I did, yeah.
I'm
just trying to work on a little.
I don't think I've owned Livramento this season, which seems pretty mad given that everyone's been talking about him forever. But I wildcarded in game week 4, brought in Duffy as my cheap defender, and just have never owned Livramento, which is pretty mad. So what was the West Ham Southampton score?
Southampton were winning 2-1.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so the Perot guy, he's going to take Livra's place, and James Ward-Prowse penalty, and Michael Antonio on the score sheet for a change. It's been a while.
So that would mean that
Walker Peters has been subbed on 58 for Livramento actually. So that's interesting.
Yeah. So I guess you can find out in the next few days whether that was an injury, and if it was, you should probably go for Livramento then, shouldn't you?
Yeah, and Long's been pulled off, and Brozier's gone on as well, so that's interesting.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. If Walker Peters is injured, then I'd definitely go for Livramento on this.
Yeah.
And then so that would mean that Tottenham wouldn't have a game in 30, and then so you're definitely going to try and if you're wildcarding now, you should be able to navigate 30. How many players would you have in 30 with this? You'd have one to Everton have a fixture. I guess it doesn't matter if you've got Sarr. So 1, 2.
I think I've got 7.
3, 4.
It might even be more. I did actually work that out earlier. So it's 8. I'd have eight players.
I think it's 9. I think it's 9 because you've got Sarr in goal 1, Tierney 2, Livramento 3. Saka 4, Ramsey 5, Rafinha 6, Coutinho 7, Jimenez.
But I'm subbing Coutinho out for Son, aren't I? For 29. But I suppose I could go. I'd actually probably at that point just try and bank some transfers and get Maddison and Vardy in.
And that's the other lovely thing about deciding whether to wildcard at this point is that you can with the information from the FA Cup games, you then know definitely which fixtures are on or not in 30, and then you can plan perfectly for those, can't you? Because if Spurs aren't going to play in 30, maybe you go somewhere else from Coutinho if you want to get rid of him, because Villa's do turn pretty nasty, don't they? And I was looking at Coutinho for this week, but it would literally be for this week, and so I probably shouldn't, especially because he hasn't looked amazing in the last couple of games. So
I mean, he was great on his debut, and I think then he had a decent game after that. But he hasn't really, mind you, Villa have been pretty terrible as well. But they looked like they were on the right track against Brighton, but also Brighton have been bending over for everybody as well. So you don't want to really read into that too much. So funnily enough, I can afford to just drop Lacazette from that wildcard draft and put Kane in.
And then that means you don't have to go Coutinho to Son then.
Yeah, I don't have to do Coutinho to Son. I'm quite happy to hold Kane then.
Okay, interesting. The thing is, Lacazette, is there any way, because I've been pretty disappointed with Jimenez, obviously, and he got dropped last game. Wolves' double looks amazing, but do you know what? Would it not make sense to go Kane, have Jimenez for this week, and then have the funds, try and free up the funds somewhere else to go from Jimenez to Lacazette. So you'd have Jimenez for this double, then Lacazette for the next double.
So I'm basically 0.4 off that move because I got 0.4 in the bank and Lacazette's 8.3, Jimenez is 7.5. So I'd have to. I suppose I've got I don't really have any bench fodder in my midfield. don't really have any bench, but I've kind of got most of the guys in the team are playing. I suppose Livramento, as we've discussed, is a risk here.
Yeah, and I think Ramsey, because of his price, you wouldn't, and again, because Villa's fixtures are going to turn, you could probably bench him further down the line, couldn't you? Which means you play the rest of them. What about, how much is Dubravka? Because could you not do Pickford to Dubravka and then free up a bit more cash there? And they've obviously got
4.4, so that actually gets me what I need there.
Yeah, and the thing is, Pickford, he's an absolute liability, and Everton are crap. And
yeah, I'm not. I wasn't loving that move, I must admit.
Whereas Dubravka gives you the double anyway, which means that you can bench boost. I mean, their double is much better this week with Brighton and Southampton, and obviously in 29 when you're looking to bench boost, it's Chelsea away and Everton away, so not great. But again, just a doubling bench boost keeper is pretty nice, and he could always get something. But you'd hope he's going to get at least 4 points, which is pretty. If you got 4 points from everybody on your bench boost, I think you'd be happy.
I mean, it's not an FPL focal bench boost, but it'd be pretty decent. Did you see how many points he had on his bench? Oh, that was horrible to watch.
But you say it's an FPL focal bench boost. He didn't actually bench boost it.
So. No, I know. I know he couldn't, though, could he?
No,
because he wildcarded. that was horrible.
He should have played some of those players, shouldn't he?
No, he should have. I don't know why he didn't.
No.
So the strike force is looking like Kane, Broja, Jimenez with 0.9 in the bank to get to Lacazette for next week, which looks pretty nice actually.
So you then have Kane. You don't have to do. You can do Coutinho to whoever, or you can keep him because who have Villa got in 29? They got West Ham.
Mind you, Arsenal have Watford. So why wouldn't I just put Lacazette in? I actually fancy Lacazette against Watford more than I do Jimenez against Crystal Palace.
Jimenez has got the double though, hasn't he?
That's right. Sorry, you're right. Jimenez has got the double now. So yeah, okay, got you.
So you're almost doing like the hokey cokey for the doubles, aren't you? So you've got, and also, yes, Jimenez might be dropped again. I don't think he will be. I think he just was shocking him, taking him out of the team. But Crystal Palace at home and Watford at home. I mean, I know Wolves aren't good going forward, but that's about as good as it gets, isn't it? Outside of maybe Norwich and maybe Leicester, because Leicester's defence is so bad. But I like that because you have Kane. You don't need Son, and in a way, I think Kane has actually looked better than Son recently.
Yeah, I agree.
And then you get to go from Jimenez to Lacazette. Pretty sweet. If there are any price changes, does that mean are you like literally 0-0 on that?
No, I've got 0.1 either way, so
you're gonna have to keep a super close eye on the prices, then, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll have to watch that. Because I might just have to forgo Jimenez's double because or I suppose I don't know what I'll do. Yeah, I'll have to watch that. When's the deadline? Saturday
morning. Yeah.
Oh shit! There's potentially quite a lot of movement to come now. But I suppose Arsenal don't have a double, so it'll only really be wildcard people loading up on Arsenal.
But also, I mean, this is the other thing, and we haven't talked about this yet, but you haven't actually pressed the button yet. So you may have missed out on some price rises or falls this week. But if you like the idea of this and you look at the price rises and they're pretty scary, you could wildcard tonight, whatever, and then keep your eye on the price rises. I mean, the only issue that we've seen this season is that FPL statistics and even what's the other one? FPL Fix have not been very accurate at all. I think Coutinho rose the other night when he was at like 60% or something, and he rose, which was pretty shocking for a lot of people. But if you wildcarded tonight, you could maybe try and make sure that you're not going to get priced out of anything.
Yeah, I think I'm going to click go on this tonight. It's looking pretty good. It's pretty sexy.
So just to go back to it, then you would have.
Should I just? I'll snip it and send it over. Then we can actually talk to it.
Okay, cool.
If that helps. Is that good?
Yeah,
Does that work?
Yeah, that'll work. Stuff on the fly.
Or maybe one time your guests can like share the screen. It'd be mind blowing.
I don't know how to do that though, Tom.
I will have to learn how to do that on OBS.
No, we can do that. We could do a window capture, but you'd have to, if you share your screen in Teams now, I reckon we can do it.
Okay,
share
cool.
Your screen with me. You won't be able to see what's going on, but let me add an input in here. I'll add another window capture. Look at this. Exciting times. And are you sharing your screen?
I am.
Oh, here it comes. Here it comes. Here it comes. Let me trim this. Okay. This is going to be exciting. Try not to give any personal information away.
Do you know the other one that I'm not massively convinced about in this draft is Rafinha? It just feels like a bit of an obvious one. Whereas, is there a better way that I can spend that 6.5 somewhere? I reckon we should chat about that as well. I'm not completely convinced on Raf. I mean, he's done well for me, but just the way Leeds have been and like the managerial uncertainty and stuff, you don't really know what's going to happen there.
No, fair enough. I'm just trying to figure out how to get our images back, because this is the trouble with OBS when you mess about with. Here we go. Is this going to work?
Because I've actually in that price range, there's a couple of other dudes I'm quite interested in, which is kind of, I quite like the look of Willock for Newcastle because just remembering the run he went on last season when he was scoring, he's got 2 and 2 now.
Yeah.
Ward-Prowse is obviously usually decent for a free kick or a penalty. And also, I'm probably going to murder the pronunciation of this, but Kulusevski from Tottenham has looked pretty hot as well since he came into the team.
Yeah, he has, but I mean, he's another one of those where I just think, you go back to that thing I was talking about with not trusting players who are kind of brand new to the league, and yes, he's looked good, but is he really going to be that amazing? So, hang on a sec, let me try and fix this.
What are the weird? No, I don't want Dan James from Leeds. That's a horrible decision.
Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to leave my video off this. Just have yours on it. It's not the most beautiful screen in the world, but
okay, so can you now see that live? Can you?
No, give me one sec. Give me one sec. Shlee's going to be laughing at this. He'll be like, "What were you doing with your window captures?" Here we go. Where's it gone? Dun, dun. Hang on a sec. Duplicate this. So you think you're going to push the button tonight?
Yeah. I suppose if anybody's going to do it for Leeds, it's going to be Rafinha, isn't it? You have to kind of.
Yeah.
And they have got the double coming up, and then they've got Norwich, which is a pretty good fixture, and at least they do have a fixture in 30. Look at me talking myself into my Rafinha move again.
Nah, this is why you have to have all the windows set up before you do it.
That's cool. Do it. Shall I just snip it to you? Shall we stop wasting time? What do you think?
Yeah, snip it to me. If you stop sharing.
Okay,
your screen,
I'll stop sharing my screen then.
Yeah, and we should go back to popping in here. Yeah, snip it to me and I'll load it up.
Cool.
Tell you what, if you leave it where it is, I should be able to screen grab it from there, shouldn't I?
That's fine. I'll just send it to you. Okay, it's winging its way through the ether to you right now.
Nice.
Hopefully, Kate has stopped FaceTime with the sister so it can come through quickly.
She has indeed. But now my Gmail is really struggling. Here we go. So if you didn't wildcard tonight, and if you just did, I think what you were saying, you would just bring Coutinho in. Is that what you said? Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you didn't wildcard tonight, then when would you potentially wildcard? Like 31 or something? And
yeah, I'd probably leave it after, but for me, wildcard is the best chip in the game, so you don't really want to leave it so late. You actually want to use it where you can still affect your season, and kind of having 2 doubles in a row is just seems too good to turn down. You don't know when you're going to get, like, at least these fixtures are like confirmed and they're going to happen. There's been such a weird season with stuff getting cancelled, so just want to kind of feels like carpe diem at the moment.
Yeah, and I actually do, even though it went amazingly well, I do in some ways regret not saving it, because you're now getting all that information. You're getting all that info that you know the FA Cup games have happened, and it's just all gravy, isn't it now? And you can set up for 28, 29, 30, and then you've the fact that you've still got the 2 free hits as well is just absolutely mad.
Oof. Southampton won 3-1 in the end. Brozier got one.
Wow.
Nice result for them. That's a big result.
So Southampton don't have a fixture, and Spurs don't have a fixture, do they?
Let's work this out.
Have a look. No, Spurs will have
a fixture, but
and there's no way for you to get Kane and Son on the wild card.
Very difficult. It's kind of like not having 2 Chelsea defenders, which I really want.
Right. What about Tierney? You really want Tierney as well?
I could be convinced otherwise not to take Tierney, to be honest, because he's not like explosive. It's not like a sexy pick, is it?
He can be explosive, but I remember listening to the FPL Wire a few weeks ago when I thought Tierney was going to be mega. I think, did they have a double in 25, 26? And I remember thinking, I really want Tierney for that. I think it was 26, and he just didn't really do anything.
Yeah. I'd have to take Tierney down to some like real cheap ass defender.
Yeah.
Do you like us? Well, I don't think Robertson's going to get rotated anymore, but I was thinking maybe Tsimikas, but you don't want to take a Liverpool spot up with a cheapo.
No, I don't think you do.
I mean, Marty's been playing for Leicester and he's only 3.8. So does that actually do anything?
So I finally managed to share it now. So you've got Dubravka in there now. So now your 2 Southampton players are not going to have a fixture in 30.
Yeah.
So does that take you down? You've got Kane in there now, and you're thinking Jimenez to Lacazette for their double next week, and you've got enough in the bank for that. So how many would you have in 30 then? If Jimenez is Lacazette, it's same for same, but you'd have 1, 2, 3. Oh no, you wouldn't have 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll make it. You'd have 8. You'd have 8. I mean, 8 after you've wildcarded, is 8 enough? I guess you can make a couple of transfers, couldn't you? You could do a transfer next week and a transfer for 30, so that would take you up to 10.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I think that's okay. I'd want to get some Leicester card. I don't think you can do Son in this wild card. It's just actually Salah, Kane, and Son is very difficult to fit into a team which is balanced, I think.
Yeah. And Leicester,
it's back to the freemium again, but Bruno's not included this time.
Yeah. And Leicester have
can you share that screen again with me, mate?
Yeah, let me do that.
Thanks. Sorry, I'm more of a visual person. Sweet.
Is that working?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Let me bring this up again here. There you go.
Yeah, I'm loving seeing Kane back in there again. To be honest,
Yeah,
that's looking good.
I think that is good, and I think it would be a very dangerous time to take him out, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I've just enjoyed watching him play. I mean, having had COVID for a while, I've actually watched the most football I've watched for about 4 years. I think just being able to lie in bed and watch football, it's been great. So I've watched a lot. Like I know Shlee said that he actually finds watching 90 minutes of football pretty boring these days. And I was in the same boat as him, but there's certain teams which I can actually watch. Villa is not one of them. I must be honest, that it kind of gets a bit dull. But I like watching City. I like watching Tottenham.
Yeah. My screen is totally frozen now, so I've got this maniacal fixed expression. But
it's a bit Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, isn't it?
It is a bit, isn't it? I might actually let me remove this and try and add it back in again. Pretty mad. So you're going to push the button tonight.
I am.
Very nice.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah, looks good. Let me try and fix this. Few technical difficulties without Shlee. He'll be loving that when he watches it back. Like, you can't do this without me.
Yeah. So he's going to tell you that it's not a one-man band.
No, indeed. There you go. Quick fix.
Quick fix. Nice.
So yeah, I really like it. I think it's wicked. I think obviously only 10 players for 30, but I guess you could always you could look at it and take a 4-point hit. But again, so many people are just so focused on 30 that they're not. I guess I'm probably like this as well, but I think 31's going to come around and everyone's going to be shocked. They're going to be like, oh, I didn't realise these teams were playing these teams.
Yeah, I just don't think there's going to be a massive amount of upside having like one more player in game week 30. And I don't think it's worth the free hit either because of the reasons I've said. It's like a diminished fixture list and all the good guys are playing each other. So it's really kind of a shitty time to play any chips, I think.
The thing is, though, now that Spurs have a game in 30, I am much more likely to free hit 30 because I've got Son, but I can get in Kane, I can get in a Spurs defender. The fixtures
That's interesting. Son and Kane basically automatically going, but who's your Spurs defender of choice at the moment?
Well, yeah, none of them look particularly good.
None of them. I mean, I've been on Reguilon for most of the season because I actually just quite like him, and he seems to arrive in the box a lot, but he always fluffs his lines, and it's just so frustrating.
Well, and he fluffs his lines, but also he's been pretty. He's been ill. He's been out of the team, and
COVID, all sorts of stuff going on with him. I don't think Conte really actually fancies him that much either. I think like the demands that Conte puts on them. I don't know. Sessegnon's a lot quicker and fitter, I think. So I think Reguilon will actually find it hard to get back into that team.
Yeah, and I mean, you said Kulusevski. I mean, I think in 30 I could go for Son, Kane, and Kulusevski for that game week. It depends, but again, they're playing West Ham. I mean, it's not amazing, is it? So
no.
I don't know. You're right. I mean, 30 is. I just don't think I'm going to have enough players, and I'd need to use loads of transfers. And it's a little bit like, when I wanted Arsenal players for their double, but then I knew they were blanking, is that I want Chelsea players for this double, but they're not going to play in 30. So I'm using those. I'd be using transfers to get in players who then aren't going to play in 30. So I think for me, it does make the most sense to free hit in 30, and it means I can, I might be using a -8 to get in 2 Chelsea defenders, and then they're doubling against 2 nice teams. They could keep 2 clean sheets, and we know that they can attack pretty well as well. So I don't know. It's difficult, but yeah. I'm just what else have we not talked about on the wildcard? I mean, you've got Rafinha in there. You're not worried about. I don't know anything about the new Leeds manager. I'm surprised that they've gone for somebody like that. But again, you would hope that before they sacked Bielsa, they had, at least got at least 2 or 3 managers who were interested in the role. So
yeah, I haven't read anything about the new manager either. I don't know anything about him. So
no, but Rafinha is, he's the man in that squad. There's nobody else who even comes close to him in terms of importance to that team. Maybe Bamford when he's around, but Rafinha is the one to have, and their fixtures look really good as well. So I think that makes sense.
There is a nice little article on Fantasy Football Scout about Jesse Marsh. How will Rafinha and Leeds assets fare? So I'll give that a read.
Yeah, but no,
usually pretty good.
I think he's a good shout. So now that you've got Kane, would you be looking to get Coutinho out then after the double?
I probably could. I'm trying to think now. Have we got can you bring that fixtures thing up again so we can have a look at maybe what we'd do with Coutinho?
I can bring the fixtures thing up again, but all the videos all kicked out.
Okay. Let's just have a look at it then.
Let me just remove this. I'll tell you what I could probably do. I could probably leave your video. Let me take both the videos off here. I think that's the issue when we're sharing our screens, but if I bring this across, so that's the fixtures.
Okay. So would I have enough money to do like a nice move to like I've already got triple Arsenal. Yeah, who could I move Coutinho to? I'm just trying to think now. Nothing jumping off the page.
You've got triple
Arsenal. I suppose I could do Kulusevski. I keep talking about him, but that doesn't sound like a good move. And who's Villa's fixture?
No, I mean Kulusevski could be the answer, couldn't he? Because you'd have the double in 29, and you'd have a fixture in 30.
Yeah, so that could be nice actually, because Villa against West Ham doesn't really inspire me with like a load of confidence, unless we sort of really turn up against Southampton and Leeds.
No, that could be really nice. And again, it's one of these things, isn't it? Where, as we've just been saying, like you'll be thinking down a certain road, and then something else pops up, and you hadn't even considered it.
Yeah.
And actually, it's the right answer. So I think Kulusevski again, because he might do a Weghorst where he's been great for the first couple of games, and then suddenly he's crap, and you're like, oh right, he's not the answer for for Coutinho. But I mean, who have Villa got in? I mean, Villa have got Watford in 29, so it's not the worst thing in the world.
That's Southampton. We've got West Ham just one above.
Sorry.
Yeah. I don't know. I've watched him play both the games, Kulusevski, and he just looks so comfortable, and he's very kind of calm, and I've just really been impressed with him, I must say. Just looks like some spotty teenager, but he's like an absolute beast.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, the idea of playing in front of that many people, moving to a new league, moving to a new team, and just being super calm. And I think that is what makes a footballer at that level. You look at like Anthony Elanga coming to the United team. I mean, and even like Scott McTominay before, because I remember Scott McTominay seeing him play a few games and just being like, he just looks like a dweeb, but he was all, super, super serious. He had that like look on his face. Nobody was taking the mickey out of him, because it was like, well, does he deserve to belong? Does he deserve to be there? But some people just have the right attitude to be able to just take that kind of pressure and thrive under it. And Kulusevski looks like he's going to be one of those. So.
Well, as your first game for Tottenham, you're going to play against Man City. It doesn't get much bigger than that. And like, I was super impressed with the way he played.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. So if you I'm jumping around a lot, but I think I love the fact that you've got Kane back in here now. You could go Coutinho to Kulusevski. You then don't have Son, but maybe you've almost got like a bit of a differential against Son. And Son could hurt you, but Kane and Kulusevski could be a pretty good balance against that, or a hedge against that. Broyer's obviously scored tonight. That looks good. He's a ridiculous price point, ridiculous enabler. You'd go Jimenez after his double to Lacazette, which looks really, really nice as well because you're basically getting 4 really good. The Liverpool game for Arsenal isn't great, but you're getting 3 good fixtures and a bonus one in 2 game weeks. And then you've got Lacazette against Villa in 30. More mosquitos.
Sorry, I'm trying to catch mosquitoes again, the little bastards.
Mozzies. But yeah, it's getting super, super late where you are, Tom. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about in here? I think it looks really nice.
No, mate, I think I'm going to pull the trigger on that before everything goes up tonight.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, isn't it? Because the only thing I guess you can be hurt on in terms of the price rises is the players that you've planned to get in, like your Kulusevskis and your Lacazettes. But if you get in the team that you want, you're massively reducing the number of price changes that can hurt you, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, what are we, Wednesday night? And we all know there's not 8 million active managers, so it's just really, you're just trying to get a jump start on the people ahead of you, really. Which in my case is quite a lot at the moment, embarrassingly, but that's okay.
So just on the keeper on Sarr, you're thinking you don't want to block an Arsenal spot by having Ramsdale in there, so you don't.
I've got
more Wolves.
Yeah, because then I can't do the Lacazette move next week if I've got Rambo.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because I've been kind of weighing up who I'm going to get rid of De Gea for, whether it's Sarr or Ramsdale. But I think in your position on this wildcard, it makes sense to definitely go for the Wolves guy.
Yeah.
Nice. Well,
cool, man.
Thank you for coming on. Sorry about all the technical issues, but we will get there. Shlee will probably be hosting next time and tell me I'm never allowed to do it again. And yeah, thanks so much for staying up super late your time and for coming on and talking us through this, and good luck with your wild card.
Pleasure. Well, yeah, if you'll have me back on again, I can come and tell you how it went.
That'd be sweet, wouldn't it?
Sage-like advice. Let's do a bit of a retrospective when it's all happened.
Get you on in a couple of weeks and you can have a go at me because Dubravka got 2 points in all 4 of the games that he played in.
It's highly likely.
Indeed.
These teams always look better on paper than they actually perform. So I'm not delusional.
And Pickford gets 28 points in game week 29.
That's it. You'll be Pickford assists Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin twice or something.
Exactly. All right, mate. Thank you so much again, and good luck with it. We will get you back on soon.
Cheers, guys.
All the best. Bye bye.
Thanks for having me. Bye.